She stopped breathing in my arms. Dylan Wang reveals what happened in the elevator. The city was drenched in a heavy downpour the night it happened. Dylan Wang had replayed that moment in his head 1,000 times. The way the elevator doors closed. The sound of Shen Yue's laughter echoing as she clutched onto his arm, teasing him about the small velvet box tucked inside his jacket. He'd been nervous. Sweating, even. Not because of the cameras, or the pressure of fame, but because he had finally decided to do it. To ask her to marry him. But what should have been the most beautiful night of their lives turned into a nightmare no one could have predicted. The emergency button didn't work. They were on the 22nd floor when the power flickered. "Did you see that?" Shen Yue whispered, gripping his hand tighter. Dylan had barely opened his mouth to reassure her when the elevator jolted violently, the lights shutting off completely. A high-pitched screech echoed as the lift came to a complete halt between floors. For a few seconds, there was silence. Then panic. He remembered how she looked up at him, her face illuminated by the dim emergency light. "Dylan," she whispered, "I don't feel right." At first, he thought it was anxiety. Claustrophobia. But then her breathing became shallow, erratic. She slumped against him, her lips trembling. Cold sweat formed on her forehead. That's when he saw it, her fingers twitching uncontrollably. You talk to me. Shen Yue," he cried, pressing the emergency button again and again. Nothing. No signal. No sound. Just the humming silence of a broken world. Her eyes rolled back. "She just collapsed," Dylan said later, voice cracking during the interview that would go viral within minutes. "I was holding her, and then, her eyes rolled back. She stopped breathing in my arms." His hands trembled as he spoke. "You don't know what true helplessness feels like until the love of your life is dying in front of you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do." He started pounding on the walls, screaming. He tried CPR. Over and over. Chest compressions, mouth to mouth, begging her not to leave him. Minutes felt like hours. At some point, he stopped counting how many times he said, "Please don't die." Back on the ground, a race against time. A neighbor heard the faint thuds and screams through the walls and called security. It took nearly 14 minutes to pry open the elevator doors. By then, Shen Yue had been unconscious for almost 7 minutes. A paramedic who responded to the emergency told reporters later, "When we pulled her out, she had no pulse. We had to resuscitate her twice in the ambulance. She flatlined for the first time at 10:46 p.m. He wouldn't let go." At the hospital, Dylan refused to leave her side. Doctors needed to move her to the trauma room, but he wouldn't release her hand. He kept whispering, "You promised you'd stay. You promised." It took 2 nurses to gently pull him away, as she was wheeled into emergency surgery. She wasn't breathing. "I thought she was gone," he repeated over and over. "I would have traded places with her in a heartbeat." The cause? A silent killer. The diagnosis shocked everyone. Shen Yue had been living with a rare cardiac condition, undiagnosed and almost symptomless. A sudden drop in oxygen triggered an arrhythmic episode, causing her heart to stop. The lack of oxygen in the stalled elevator had only made it worse. She never told anyone she was feeling dizzy the past few days, one of her closest friends later revealed. She thought it was just stress or fatigue. Dylan blamed himself. She knew something was wrong. The proposal ring was still in his jacket pocket when he sat by her bedside, watching the monitors beep in rhythm with her newly restarted heart. He didn't wear the tux anymore. He looked like a ghost, blood-stained shirt, tear-soaked eyes, and the kind of silence that made the room colder than the machines. He kept replaying the last thing she'd said in that elevator, "If something happens, don't let go of me." 3 days later, her eyes opened. She opened her eyes on the third day, barely. Her voice was dry, broken. "Dylan," she whispered. The moment he saw her awake, Dylan collapsed to his knees. For 10 minutes, he cried into her hand, his entire body shaking. "You left," he whispered. "You actually left me." "I came back," she murmured, weakly. That single sentence shattered the hearts of millions watching the behind-the-scenes footage leaked later by a nurse. The interview that broke everyone. Weeks later, Dylan finally agreed to sit down for a televised interview. She died. For 2 minutes and 38 seconds. "I watched her die." The interviewer asked what kept him going. "I never got to give her the ring. I kept it in my hand the whole time, hoping she'd wake up. I still haven't given it to her. I'm waiting for the right time. A time that feels safe." He took a deep breath and then whispered. "But you know what the worst part was? Not the fear. Not the pain. The worst part was how quiet it got when she stopped breathing. A nation in tears. The public's response was overwhelming. #FightForYou trended worldwide. Thousands donated to heart health organizations in her name. Fans across Asia sent in artwork, letters, and handmade jewelry. One child from Beijing wrote, "I asked my dad to buy a ring like Dylan's so I can keep it until someone makes me feel that kind of love." A private ceremony in the ICU. Rumors began swirling that Dylan had proposed quietly during her recovery. Nurses reported seeing him slip something on her finger while she slept. When she woke, she was already wearing it. And she smiled. "She didn't say yes with words," Dylan later said. "But her smile was louder than any yes I've ever heard." The vow that changed everything. A week after her release, Dylan posted a photo, just a shadow of their hands intertwined, her hospital bracelet still visible. The caption read, "She came back to me. I'll never let her go again." It received over 19 million likes in 12 hours. Future unknown, but together. Though doctors still monitor Shen Yue closely, her condition is stabilizing. Dylan rearranged his filming schedules to stay by her side. They go on slow walks, read books together, and leave notes for each other on post-its. She keeps one note by her bed at all times. It says, "Breathe for me." Final words. When asked if he was still scared, Dylan answered, "Every single day. But now, I'm not scared of her heart stopping. I'm scared of mine stopping without ever telling her I loved her enough." And maybe that's the kind of love that brings someone back from the dead. The silence after Shen Yue's body went limp was so loud, it made Wang feel like the world had folded in on itself. Her chest wasn't moving. "Shen Yue," he shouted, shaking her. "Baby, wake up. Please." Nothing. The dim emergency light above flickered once, then died completely. Darkness. It was like the universe had decided to take her away, and make him feel it in total black. He couldn't even see her anymore. He could only feel her, the dead weight in his arms, the coldness spreading through her fingers, the terrifying stillness of someone who was supposed to be laughing just seconds ago. Then came the sound, the most haunting of all. A choking noise from her throat as she gave one last, shallow exhale. Then nothing. Dylan screamed. He fumbled with his phone. No signal. He hit the elevator button again. 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 He hit it until his knuckles bled. "Somebody help us." Still nothing. Tears streamed down his face as he lay her flat on the floor, trying to remember the CPR course he took 3 years ago on a drama set. He tilted her head back. Compressed her chest. Counted out loud. Gave her breath after breath. Come on, you're stronger than this." He started whispering promises. "If you open your eyes, I swear I'll never argue with you again. Compress." I'll cancel every flight, every shoot. Breath. I'll marry you in this elevator if I have to. Compress. I'll die here with you if that's what it takes. The next moment was a blur. A loud crash above. Voices. Someone shouting, "We've got them." Open the panel. Then, light. A flashlight beamed down into the elevator from the emergency panel. A rescue team member squeezed through, eyes wide as he saw the scene below. "She's not breathing." Dylan roared. "Do something. Please." The man radioed the team. Code red. One unconscious female. Begin lift extraction, now. They lowered a harness, pulling Shen Yue up first. "Take her." Dylan yelled. "Take her. Don't worry about me." As they pulled her out, Dylan grabbed onto her hand, refusing to let go even as a paramedic shouted at him to move back. "She's all I have." It was in that moment, suspended between one floor and the next, between life and death, that Dylan Wang felt the full weight of loss. And it hadn't even happened yet. As the elevator jolted back into motion and the doors finally opened, Dylan sprinted after the gurney being wheeled through the hallway. Nurses shouted, doctors surrounded them, but all he could hear was one question screaming in his head. What if I was too late?